Now let's talk about Brexit, because we got a bunch of whining people who want to break the rules there as well. You got the millennials venting fury at the baby boomers. This is a Daily Mail article. They say 72% of the 18 to 24-year-olds voted against Brexit. And, of course, you've seen, if you look at social media, you've seen on Twitter and on Facebook, you've seen the graphic that says, age of the people and how many of them voted to remain, how many of them voted to leave. And they say, look at the life expectancy of these people. And they go down, they show the older people voted to leave, and they say, look at this. They don't have to live with this decision. It's the young people who have to live with this decision. This is so unfair. I want another vote. Okay, well, let me say to the young people out there that the reason the older people voted to leave is because they have lived with that decision. They made that decision, the baby boomers did. They were part of a generation that made that decision back in 1975. They said, we're not going to leave. There was a decision then. They voted overwhelmingly to remain in. And again, this is a story that I covered on Friday from the Telegraph, Tim Stanley, the day the British people defied their jailers. And he pointed out, he said, David Cameron only called this in order to hold his own party together. Once it was called, he decided to turn the British and the global establishment against it. Out came the Treasury, the IMF, even the President of the United States to argue that Britain had to stay. This was textbook politics, how things used to be done, and it did work back in 1975 when the UK voted overwhelmingly on good advice to stay in the common market. But what have they found now? They have found that this is not an economic union. It is a political union. They found they lost their sovereignty. And when they lost their sovereignty, they got a bad deal economically. They got a bad deal with everything, with immigration, the rest of it. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Alex Jones Show on this Monday, June 27th, 2016. I'm David Knight, and I want to get back to these whiners and Brexit, saying they want a do-over. They didn't like the legal process. They didn't like the results. They're talking about being a 4% differential. No, really, it's 4% more than the 48% that Remain got. Okay, so that's about a 12th. So that's 8%. So it's 8% more people voted to get out than wanted to stay in. 4 points, but 8% more votes. When they go back and look at this, the people who remember this are the ones who voted to get this out. They have lived under this for 40 years. The millennials haven't. There's this thing called experience. And I know that the kids who are in college and in high school don't really understand what experience is yet, okay? Think of it as a kind of college degree, a kind of an advanced graduate degree that takes you decades to get, okay? That might help it a little bit for you to swallow these results. And let me tell you, these people have seen it all before. There was a referendum back in 1975. In that referendum, 2/3 of the voters voted to stay in the EU. Within just a few years, this is an article from QZ.com, Britain's love-hate relationship with the EU. They say within a few years, they began tracking public opinion on the EU and Britain. They say by 1979, just 4 years later, it became clear that voters had begun to regret their 1975 decision. 60% said they would vote to leave the EU if another referendum was called, while only 32% said they would stay. It has only gotten worse since then. And that's the reason why those old geezers voted to ruin your future. No, they saw what has happened here. They know that the EU has shut down fishermen from fishing in your own waters. They know that they have micromanaged every detail of your life, as we pointed out before. They know that it isn't an issue of racism. It isn't an issue of an economic leap into darkness. It is an issue of sovereignty. If you give up control of your life, your political control, then that is not a leap into darkness. You are marching into a known economic oblivion, because these people will control your economy. It's precisely what we're looking at with the Trans-Pacific and the transatlantic partnerships. You're going to have people who are unelected who are going to be controlling every aspect of your economy. That's called sovereignty. And they're going to do things like open your borders and bring in workers as they export your jobs to other areas. They're going to say, we're going to favor this country when they manufacture this good, but if you try to do that, we're going to shut you down. They've seen that. They've seen it for 40 years. That's why they said, we don't want this anymore. That's why they said, we're getting out. And he says, oh, no, by the way, don't call people stupid losers when you don't agree with them. And don't try to throw away the rules because you don't get your way. Join us tonight, INFOWARS Nightly News, 7 o'clock, 7 Central, 8 p.m. Eastern.
My fellow InfoWarriors, I am very excited to be able to announce to you the introduction at InfoWarsLife.com of a new way to save time and money when you stock up on InfoWars Life formulations like Survival Shield X2 and Super Male Vitality. Just go to InfoWarsLife.com today, select your favorite product, click on Auto Ship before adding to cart, and choose how often you want us to send you another order. Every time you choose Auto Ship at InfoWarsLife.com, you get 10% off and you won't have to worry about running out and having to reorder next time. And of course, you can cancel with one click anytime. As you know, I'm all about the idea of a 360 win, and the new auto ship feature at InfoWarsLife.com is a sure win for everybody. A win for liberty, a win for health, and a win when it comes to big savings. Visit InfoWarsLife.com today and save 10% on your next InfoWars Life order by selecting auto ship at checkout. That's InfoWarsLife.com or call 888-253-3139.